I'll call the SU board meeting to order at 6 o'clock. A reminder, this is an in-person meeting with Zoom access. If there are tech issues, please contact us. We will do our best, but the meeting will continue to go on regardless. Before we get started, I'd like to congratulate Brian and Kim as new members of the SU board. Congratulations. And Carrie will be serving another term from our Vernon board meeting on Monday night. So I will start the meeting with asking if is there a nomination or nominations for SU board chair?
Yes. I'd like to nominate Ann Beekman as chair.
Second.
Okay. Are there other nominations? Hearing none. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ann Beekman, congratulations once again. You will serve as the SU board chair, and I am happy to turn this meeting over to you.
Thank you. Once again, I'm not sure. Congratulations. I would now entertain a nomination for the board vice chair.
Am I?
Yes.
I'm in it currently. I'll do it again if you want me to.
So we don't need to do nominations?
No, we do.
Oh. Was there a nomination?
What do you want to nominate?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a little
I'm
hard of
willing.
hearing.
Let me say that. I'm willing.
I should? Or you would? No. Oh, I would like to nominate Carrie Amadou
Second.
as vice chair.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? You're stuck with it again too. I would now entertain nominations for board clerk. For the new folks, last year we just had Carrie do clerk and vice chair, but if we want to expand, I'm also good with that.
I'm happy taking minutes. I take notes anyway.
Okay, shall I take that as a nomination?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? And we are back where we were before. Just so the new folks know, we've been using Robert's rules for small boards, so we haven't been using a second. Just, so you don't have to sit around and worry about it. And we need to establish a meeting date and time. Get my calendar up. And we had been meeting the second Wednesday of every month at 5 o'clock. Part of the reason that we do 5 o'clock is to make it easier on our administrators who need to attend, and also so we get out of here earlier. But if that's a problem for anybody, we can change it.
You said it's the second Wednesday, so
The second.
once a month?
Yes.
And
Sometimes we have extra meetings, but not anytime soon.
as well, we have policy the second Wednesday
Yes.
of every month. So that means we have a shorter time frame.
Yes, right. We just go from one to the other and then we go home.
I'm all for staying at 5 o'clock.
I am fine with that.
Okay. So the meeting date and time is the second Wednesday of every month at 5 o'clock. Awesome. Moving right along. I would now entertain a motion to enter into consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Kim. Does anyone want to remove anything, ask questions about anything? Excellent. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you, the consent agenda is approved. Moving on to the administrative report.
Okay. So I do have a new hire to announce this evening. As you know, we made the decision to move to our own food service program next year. First order of business has been to go through the process of hiring a food nutrition director. And I'm extremely happy to announce that we would like to recommend to the SU board Harley Sterling as our food nutrition director.
And everyone got a chance to look at that CV? I know that for you, it only came today, Brian, and you can. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of hiring Harley Sterling as our new Director of
Nutrition.
Food Nutrition Director, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Welcome aboard, Harley.
Yeah, I will say it was a really very thorough process with administrators, parents, teachers, very thorough. We met with some good candidates, and Harley clearly rose to the top. He's got a great reputation in Vermont, has been serving the Bells Falls community very well for a number of years, and has been continuously recognized for his work. So we're extremely excited to build a program in collaboration with Harley. He has started putting in a few hours here and there to help with the transition here in our SU. And next step is to hire an assistant director. So that has been advertised, we've received applications, and Harley will develop an interview process, I'm hoping shortly. So that's the next step, assistant director, and then we'll move on to the rest of the staffing in terms of all of the school sites personnel.
Are we gonna be able to hire away some of the folks working for?
That is the intention, yeah, that we'll be able to retain current folks who are working hard for us.
Because I know their very old contract prohibited that, so I didn't know if we'd sign that one again.
Yeah.
Great.
So can I ask a question? We revised policy D1 to include the food nutrition director, but the assistant director will be done as an in-house search and hire? That's a question.
Yeah, that was, I think that was the intent, but more than happy to have a representative from the SU board participate.
Okay, do you have a line on when you might be getting started with that, or?
I would be in touch over email. I do not have a specific time frame. I'm really letting Harley and Susan kind of establish the approach to this.
Do I have here a volunteer?
Can we find out when it is?
That would
like
be
if we-
super helpful.
Okay, when I get further clarification from Susan, because she is in the building every day, or Harley, I'll send an email out to the group. We'll go from there.
Thanks. So,
That's all I have for new hires and updates at this point. The presentation tonight is around supervision and evaluation for our teaching staff. So I brought some hard copies to review as a group. So in your packet, if you start with the sheet on the left-hand side, Windham Southeast Supervisory Union Teaching Performance Standards. These are the standards that we have developed our supervision evaluation protocol on. I'll just do a brief summary, but some of the framework points here are instructional strategies, management, motivation and student-teacher relationships, curriculum planning and assessment, and professional responsibilities. Obviously, there's a lot more details underneath those topics, but those are the headers. And on the right-hand side of your packet, there are two packets. Our current system for supervision and evaluation is the black and white. So I'll do again a summary of this. and give you time to read through it on your own as well, and happy to take questions or comments. So currently our supervision evaluation cycle is a 3-year cycle. Certified staff members will be included in a formal cycle of observation and evaluation every 3 years. And what that entails is the principal or supervisor conducting formal observations of lessons, and then sitting down, reflecting on the lesson with teacher, and then providing formal written feedback. That also includes a pre-observation. So that's the formal element of the supervision and evaluation cycle. All first and second year teachers serve in that cycle the first 2 years of employment. The evaluation cycle kicks into gear the 3-year cycle. So once you're in the system, you've completed your first 2 years, then you are on an evaluation cycle for 2 years, followed by the 3rd year, the more formal supervision and evaluation cycle, which includes submitting professional goals in the fall, and then providing documentation of reaching those goals throughout the school year, and then providing a summative report at the end of the year on how you met those goals to your supervisor, who then uses that information to give formal feedback. So you can see in the next 2 pages, this is really the evaluation cycle. Currently what we're using on the left-hand side is, this is what a teacher would receive in the fall. And this is a template where they would identify goals that would be submitted to the administration before the end of October. At the top of the rubric, you can see there are some examples of areas to identify goals in. Peer assistance, which is more like a peer observation cycle. Action research, where a teacher delves into a topic more deeply. Other professional development activities, so it's more of a broad opportunity to identify goals and skills to improve. And then during this cycle, the teacher could also choose another round of clinical supervision, which is the more supervision observation, or the formal observations, including a pre-meeting observation of a complete lesson, 45 minutes to an hour, and then followed by a formal one-on-one feedback meeting of what was observed.
Okay, maybe I'm just super tired,
Yeah,
but let me just say back.
sure.
Regarding teachers, the first 2 years are probationary.
Yep.
And I presume there's an observation every one of those 2 years.
Yes.
Right, and this assumes you've gotten past those 2 years, and this would be the 3-year cycle, or,
It describes the 2 years,
oh, I see.
but what I'm going to share later
Uh-huh.
does it in a better way.
Okay, and then can you, the distinction between what we just looked at on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side, can you just set that up for me one more time, please? The blue sheet versus.
Okay, so
right.
the blue sheet are the performance standards.
Mhm. Okay,
So that's standards that teachers are evaluated on.
right, okay. So in effect, this is the backbone of this.
Correct.
Got it,
Yeah.
thank you. Mhm.
And then the final document on the right is just an example of a form where a teacher on the supervision cycle, which is where you're identifying your own goals in the fall. In the spring, before the end of the school year, the teacher would formally submit a written response and describe how the goals were met with evidence included. And then that is again an end of the year meeting with the principal or supervisor to talk about the goals. And then you can see at the bottom, there's a sign off on next year's step in the 3-year cycle. So that is what has been in place for a number of years. This year, as we started the year, what we have kind of found out is that all schools have been following this cycle. There's been some different forms that have been developed per school site. And upon learning of that, we really felt as an administrative team that was an opportunity to create a committee and develop a common structure that every teacher in our SU and every supervisor in our SU would follow. So this is a draft, the second sheet. It's not actually been adopted yet, but it is going to be brought to our April admin meeting. A group of 5 of us have been working on this, and it's the overall structure of what we've had in place hasn't changed. It's still the same cycle, but we've just included more material here and more assistance around what a good goal is, like a SMART goal. It's more clearly identifies, Deborah, the question you had of the first 2 years probationary and then the 3-year cycle. So you can see it's a lot of the same stuff, but a little more specific and formatted for all of our teaching staff moving forward, and this would begin next school year. What I like about what we've done here is we've created examples of really good goals that have been developed in the past. We're following the concept of how to develop a SMART goal, which we've shared throughout the action planning and CIP planning process. On the very back, just as a reference, a SMART goal is a goal that is specific, is measurable, is attainable, realistic, and has a time frame for completion. So we're moving towards using the same process because it's part of our CBA, collective bargaining agreement, but just creating a more formalized approach that every school will embrace for the next school year once we work through this process of evaluation protocol and forms. So this is the current procedure which is in place, and this is the proposal that will potentially be in place for next school year. I would say highly likely, and I can report out on that before the end of the year to the SU board. But the goal is to bring this to the full team in April, take some feedback, potentially some edits and changes, but then by May we would have adopted a new approach for the 25-26 school year.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Do schools try to do a third every year, or do they have years where they end up having to do a lot more? Or, I mean, I guess it depends on when you were hired, but.
In terms of like the formal observations.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally it's staggered where you're not like
Having to do 100%.
loaded with a million
Yeah.
observations
Yeah.
on certain years. So that has happened, and we have tried to work to navigate that to make it more reasonable.
Okay,
And there are ways to do that.
okay.
You know, teachers who have excellent record for 25 years. It's like, you might be skipping a year and then we'll
And focus
even
on the
things
new
out.
people
Yeah,
and.
yeah,
okay.
exactly. So
All right, so there's leeway.
there is. But it is contractual language.
Mhm.
And this system does follow the contract that's been negotiated for many years with the union. So this doesn't remove any of that, but it provides more clarity and I think more direction around goal making.
And is there response or something you need from us about this, or
This is just
reaction?
This
or-
is just informational. We put it on our board calendar in June of last year, and I'm happy to take feedback or more questions if you have them. If not tonight, future meetings as well. These documents are for you to keep as a reference.
I'm glad you're working on this. I can see the improvements.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have a question. I'm looking at the draft, and this says, just very quickly looking at it, personal professional goal setting for all staff.
Good point, good catch, Deborah.
Yes.
So that is a change that we're making to the routine here. So prior to next year, if you were on the observation evaluation cycle, it was just the observations. You weren't submitting formal goals at the beginning of the year. What we're changing here is that every year, every certified staff would submit personal professional goals that they're working on, regardless of whether they're on the observation cycle or not. And we just felt like that's good practice. Every professional should be reflecting every year on growth and identifying areas of improvement. And I think including administrators. So that, yes, good catch. That was an intentional change to that document.
In the past, have all the goals always been tied to the CIP? Or is that new? I like how it's very called out.
Again, that was an intentional change in the format. It's been implied,
Okay,
In the past.
I like the call out.
Yeah. But now it's more clear.
Yep.
Yeah. So the group that has been working on this with me has been folks from the curriculum office, representatives from the Amesbury UHS site, and from the elementary. So we've had a whole, pre-K through 12 lens as we've made these changes and developed this draft.
And you mentioned this is contractual language, so does something like this get embedded in the collective bargaining agreement?
The language in the collective bargaining agreement would support these changes that we're making. Yeah, we haven't veered from the agreement. We've just provided more clarity and more specific examples around goal setting. And I would say clarity is a big improvement in terms around expectations.
And I like the common structure, school site to school site.
Yeah,
Whenever we do that, we see good things happen.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I presume it's customary that if an employee is uncomfortable with a formal observation, that they can document a response to go into their file
For sure.
with the evaluation.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep.
Right.
If they disagree.
If they disagree, so because the observation gets put in your file
Yeah.
and, right.
Yeah.
And then you sit down with your immediate supervisor and talk about that.
I just wanted to clarify, because uncomfortable could be like having somebody watch you or something, but that's not what you meant.
No, yeah.
There is that too.
Right.
I imagine if it were me, I'd be a whole lot more comfortable with somebody watching me on video rather than trying to be in the room with me at the same time.
Yeah. So that's a snapshot of how we approach supervision, observation, and evaluation.
Further questions? one of the nice things about a smaller board, Brian and Kim, is that we can ask questions as we go along, because there aren't 10 people trying to ask them.
I think that would be nice.
All right. So, if no further questions about this, then we will move on. Gang. Public comment on non-agenda items. And seeing none, we will move on to other business. Presented this evening for adoption, we're moving on to policy, are E14, environmental awareness and responsibility. F26, participation in home study students in school programs and activities. And F42, student dress code. Is there any discussion? I would entertain a motion to adopt, or more or less re-adopt, these three policies.
I move that the SU re-adopt E14, F26, and F42.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, those three policies are adopted. And again, for the new folks, generally by the time a policy gets to this board, it's been through the policy committee and the SD board, and we've all had a chance to weigh in on it, so it's pretty pro forma by the time it gets to us.
Yeah, they let the SD side of the house do the heavy lifting. Okay, and it comes over here.
Well, thank you.
I am on the SD side of the house doing the heavy lifting.
Yes, okay, there we go, yes.
And it ends up in Vernon.
Yeah.
Gary's like, and we just kind of
We
take
just
it by
kind of-
osmosis.
Yeah. That's what we told our burden board.
The following two
Did we do the consent agenda?
we did.
Yes.
Oh, we did. Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind.
Deborah needs a
You're
night
right.
off.
I see a hand. Tim?
Hi, everybody. Good meeting. I just wanted to ask, first, the minutes for January 8th don't have any indication of the discussion of the new policy that I presented. At the January 4th meeting, I discussed it, and my understanding, Ann, was that you would check with Pietro.
Yeah, I
There
have,
didn't seem to be any problem with the lovely new policy as you described it. So I'm wondering, what's the status of that?
the status is I have some edits from Pietro, and I have some other ones to put in from other people who were on board, but it should be ready for our next meeting for us to ask questions about it, and if there aren't any changes, we can call it a first reading.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. You had edits from what?
From Pietro, as well as from Carrie and Sean. I'm not finished with them, but they will be finished in time for our next meeting.
Is this
And-
Tim, is this on the evaluation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The minutes of January 8th?
Yeah, it's in there. The board reviewed a first draft of a new policy on the evaluation of the superintendent and negotiation process.
Okay, didn't catch it.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
chair will check in with the VES board chair and then have the policy reviewed by legal. So I think that's what Ann is saying, where we are.
Thanks, everybody. Have a
Yeah.
good evening.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. And I do have that almost ready for everybody, but it's a lot of typing and I'm trying to show where it started versus where we are so that everybody's clear on the changes that have been made before they get made. The heck is my agenda? There it is. Okay, so the following policies are presented for a second reading. G1, curriculum development and coordination. G13, acceptable use of electronic resources and the internet. Again, any questions, bring them back and I'll throw it back at the policy committee if necessary. But oh wait, I'll be there.
gently toss it
I'll carry it. And the following are presented for a first reading. C3, public participation in board meeting, and D6, substitute teachers. Okay, that is all that's on our agenda. I realize that I haven't, really brought the new folks up to speed. Yes, they usually are a lot shorter than your average SB. And we are all profoundly grateful for that. If you have something that you think should be on the agenda, email me. I'm not like Deborah, I don't send out regular reminders saying, hey, give me an item. But chances are, unless I think you're being absolutely ridiculous, it will wind up on the agenda. Are you clear on what this board supervises?
I believe so, but go ahead and give me the shtick.
You are responsible for special education, transportation, food service, curriculum, contracts, and contracting, hiring and supervision of the superintendent. I got everybody there?
I think you did.
And that is what we do. So you will get to participate in the superintendent's evaluation this year a little more closely than you did last year. I think we've got that down to a science now. I hope. Is there any other business that anyone would like to bring before this board?
No, I think our next meeting would be April 9th, which is not school vacation week. If we're going with the second Wednesday, because school vacation is the next week. So,
And we said 6 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Oh, that's right.
I'll put that in the.
And if this grows to be a problem, let us know, because chances are we could change it, though administrators get their evenings filled up real quickly with many meetings and various things. So we do try to accommodate them a little bit at least. Is there anything I'm forgetting? No, guess not.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
there being no further business before this board, I move we adjourn.
Is there any discussion? All
I think
those-
it's unfair. I just want to say.
Take lessons.
This is gonna be a fun board.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Oh, let me out of here.
We are adjourned at 6:32 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody.